Welcome to Point Blank. My name is Karen Smith. I'm here with my co-host, Mimi Escobar.
Hello, Karen.
And how are you?
Fine. Boy, we have another candidate.
We have another sheriff's candidate. You'd think it was ongoing
But it
ad
is.
infinitum, but
There's-
it's not. We only have 7. But we're here with Stan Perez, who is with the California Highway Patrol, correct?
Yes, I just retired as chief to run for this position.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I ask you the major question we've asked everybody, and why in the world do you want to be our sheriff?
You've reached retirement. You can go fishing. You can go do things with your family.
A very good question, and I've been asked that probably more times than not
Then you
at occasions.
probably have a pretty good answer.
Well, I can give you one from the heart. I don't know if it's good. I'll let you judge that, you and the viewers. But I'll tell you this: I live in this county. I've lived in this county for 20 years. I raised my kids here. I'll continue to live here, and hopefully someday my kids and their kids will be able to say we're 12th generation Perez family of El Dorado County. I know that this county deserves the best law enforcement leadership in the nation, and I bring that to the table. As you may have read about my experiences, I'm nationally qualified. I've traveled to the Ukraine, helped their army convert to a state police. I've been a chief now for almost a decade, oversaw 1,100 people and $200 million plus budget and 24 offices. That's the kind of quality candidate that I believe that this county deserves, and that's why I'm running for sheriff.
How does your family feel about this?
Well, you know, I'm very
glad to get you out of the house?
very fortunate. Well, you have to ask my wife about that. I'm sure she might agree.
For better, for worse, not for lunch.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. My wife used to be a police officer, so she in particular understands the stresses, the strains, and about me. In fact, I like when she helps me campaign. She comes to a lot of my events with me, and I love hearing her tell the story. The day that we moved to Rescue, our first day as we're in our driveway moving our boxes in the house, she recalled, and I had forgotten, that I had said that someday I will be the sheriff of this county. This is our home. This is where I want to end up. And with the patrol, every time you promote, you travel across the state. Or in my case, I spent a year back in Washington, D.C. So we were ready to settle down. And again, we grew up in this area. My wife is very supportive of me and my friends and others in the community who have encouraged me to run.
Do you have young children?
They're young in my view. I still see them as babies, but they're
It's all
actually
relative.
Yeah,
all
yeah,
relative.
right.
They're one's 22 and the other one's getting ready to turn 21 years old. They both go to college here in California.
So they're still basically at home.
They're
Or
puppies.
at least
Yeah.
they're still attached to Dad's wallet.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I was gonna
And
say
from what
the
I
wallet
hear,
is-
they will always be. But they're strong
Oh,
young
no,
men.
after college, it's nice. It does come back.
The wallet
Yeah,
thing is
with
good.
grandkids.
Yes, yeah. Well, and nice gifts.
Right.
So your qualifications for sheriff, you've done the budgeting, you've
Manage the
led
manpower.
Right.
exactly. You've what's the difference between being sheriff and being a chief in the California Highway Patrol?
Well, the benefits is that you are in one county all the time, and so you get to know the people and the issues, and you can actually work to resolve them rather quickly. Experiences that I bring to the table is I've handled everything that a sheriff might handle: fires, floods, earthquakes, murders, kidnappings, robberies, you name it. I've handled those as an incident commander in most of those situations.
How do you sleep at night?
You know what? I don't sleep much. I'm one of those. I'm very active. I get up at 4 in the morning and I read. I go to school. I take a class every quarter, every semester, and I just have a lot of energy. I read something recently about there's not enough hours left in our life to do all the reading and learning and playing that
So
we're here.
you're not wasting.
No, I'm not wasting any of it. And those who know me will say this energy that I have now, I've always brought that to the table. My whole life I've been this
And
way.
you think it will translate well to a smaller field in essence?
I think what it does, I know what it does, in particular for this job, is there are a lot of things that we need to get done tomorrow. Not a year from now of learning, but tomorrow. And what I can bring to the table is a reorganization that will save the department money. We have 12 vacant deputy positions. I want to fill every single one of those. To do that, we need to achieve...
Are the funds there?
And they will be if our budget is left intact as it is today.
If
If it's left intact as it is today, then I believe I can fill 6 of those positions very, very quickly within the first year. And I do that by salary savings, by adjustment of positions, rather than having the number of managers and supervisors that we have now. We reduce that a bit because my number one goal is to fill every single one of those deputy positions. And those are the kinds of experiences I bring to the table.
And this is getting people out on the street?
Out on the including myself. Now, those who have worked with me and know me, I wore my uniform every single day unless I was traveling out of state or some business trip that it wasn't appropriate to wear a uniform on a plane, or I was in civil court. Aside from that, I wore my uniform every day.
A better seat on the plane with the uniform?
Well, yeah. Well, you don't want you want to sit in the very back. You don't want anybody behind you. But it offers me a great opportunity as the sheriff to not only be out there with the troops, but to get my managers and supervisors every single day out there with the troops. Again, keeping in mind, our number one priority is to fill every single police position that's out on the street.
The hands-on approach?
Absolutely, a hands-on approach with businesses, with schools, with communities. You know, my emphasis will not be on writing citations. In fact, if our deputies never wrote a citation again, I would have no problem with that whatsoever. I gave that same edict to my highway patrol officers back last November when I wrote to them all in a teletype and told them, you know, essentially that. I don't care if you write one more ticket.
Well,
what I want you to make is write.
El Dorado County gets
some money.
doesn't write. Yeah.
But, you know, but do you want that? Do you want government imposing themselves in this way by way of
no, absolutely
citation
not.
so that we can build our budget? Instead, I tell people this way. Instead, when we're at home and we want to buy a new car, we don't go to our bosses and say, you know, give me a $40,000 raise so I can buy this new car. When we want to buy something extra for our family, we don't go next door and take something from your next door neighbor. What you do is you look at your checkbook and say, I'm going to buy less of. I want to buy something a little bit less of this thing this month so I can afford to do this other. So it's a matter of prioritization. And for me, number one priority is filling every single one of those patrol cars. And when you have that mentality, that focus and that vision, that drive and tenacity, you can do it. But it's going to mean that we're not going to build new jails, and we're not going to have as many management positions, and we're not going to have as many take-home cars.
So you think that filling these cars, you feel that maybe that'll help take care of the county's drug and gang problems?
Well, in part it will. It's going to take a very strong leader to, again, day one, step in and help resolve those issues. We know this for certain in law enforcement history. It's been that when you have patrol cars, when you have a strong law enforcement presence in the community, that means we're out there patrolling, then it serves as a psychological deterrent. We have over twice as many murders in this county this year than we had in years past. That's alarming for me. Our crime rate is otherwise pretty much stable.
Of course, some of the murders they're tied to, they're not your murder.
No murder is murder. There's no typical, but
yeah, but
well, before we start talking about typical, etc., we have to go to a commercial break.
Okay.
But keep that thought. I want to go to it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Point Blank. I'm here with Mimi and our guest Stan Perez, who is running for El Dorado County Sheriff, and we were talking about the drug and gang problems within El Dorado County, and you're saying that the murder rate has doubled.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it because I heard some time ago that murders don't necessarily happen here, they just end up here?
Well, actually, we've had, and read the newspaper, we've had quite a few here.
Yeah.
But here again, like there's murders and there's murder. I guess somebody dies, it's a murder.
Right.
But most of these were, the people knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
There was
crimes of passion, or,
a
not crimes of opportunity or as a result of another crime
They
occurring.
weren't exactly somebody marching into a store and shooting the store clerk.
Right.
Or a random on the street shooting.
Right.
They knew each other in most cases,
Right.
which doesn't excuse.
Right, but you make a very good point. It's